I've always wanted to be a father. I went to Panorama Middle School, and I was standing next to one of our friends, and I said, "Hey, Mo, who's that girl right there?" And Tanya was walking past, and he said, "That's Tanya Gutierrez." And he said, "One of these days, I'm going to marry her."
We got married when we were 19. I was 20, 21.
I was 21.
Yeah. I remember getting a pregnancy test, finding out I was pregnant. Kenny was at work, and I was like literally hyperventilating in the room, like, and I called Kenny up at work, and I'm like, I'm pregnant.
I remember the phone call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Kenny was over the moon.
Yeah.
And I was not. I felt like my life was over.
And I went home, and when I walked in the front door, she ran upstairs to the bedroom, and she's on the bed, literally going through this just shock.
Yeah.
I took her to church because she was not wanting to go through with this.
And we had never been to church.
I had this overwhelming feeling that if Tanya has this baby, it's the end of our relationship. As a husband, we're supposed to be strong. And if I could go back and say something to myself then, it's just, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that change now?
Yeah.
And the very first page of the phone book in Las Vegas was abortions.
Yeah.
Starting to make phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually set an appointment.
Yeah.
And I called Tanya and I told her, I said, this is the date that I set.
Mm-hmm.
This is when we're gonna go. We went to the clinic, and then we drove in and I parked and went around the other side and opened up the door for my wife, as a good husband would do, and she said, I don't think I could do this. And what's really crazy is that that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Is I don't think I could do this. And man, if I could go back and at a certain point and pinpoint that, I would have went back there and just slammed the door.
Yeah.
Took the door out of my hand and just slammed it. Kind of like in the film when she's trying to get to herself. And she's trying to get to herself. And the chair moves. Could I slam the door?
Yeah.
And stop it? But it didn't. It said, you made me schedule you this appointment. Now get out of the car.
Yeah.
I helped Tanya up the stairs at her house. Put her in the bed, walked downstairs, went to the kitchen. We had her ultrasound picture on there. And something that I really regret is the only photograph that we had of her. I tore it up, and I walked to the bathroom, and I flushed it down the toilet. And I had, again, this overwhelming feeling like, did they do that to my baby too after they took her?
Yeah.
I told everybody we lost the baby.
Yeah.
Lying to everybody about it.
Yeah.
Nobody knew, bro. Nobody knew, man.
After the abortion, we ended up having our daughter Grace, and then we had our son Ocean. But it was interesting because even though I had these beautiful babies, I was still in depression. I would go for walks. I would have suicidal thoughts, and I would go for walks. And I would just say, God help me, God help me, God help me. Feeling like I didn't deserve to be a mom to these beautiful children. Probably 3 years after I had a miracle, I called Kenny up because what happened was I went to Sam's Club. I was getting my babies out of the car and very depressed, very sad. And this lady comes up to me and she's carrying this little beautiful baby. And she said, ma'am, and I said, yeah. And she said, I was looking at you and I was looking at your children and they're so beautiful. And she's like, this might sound weird, but God spoke to me. And she said, he wants you to know that he loves you so much and that he thinks of you often. And I walked into Sam's Club and I just started bawling because I understood what had just happened. And a cloud had lifted. And it was amazing because all that guilt, all that shame, all of that I had been carrying had lifted, and it was truly a miracle. I felt forgiven. And if God had forgiven me, who was I not to forgive myself?
I was so excited that she had found her healing. And I remember being happy for her, but thinking to myself, where's my effort breakthrough?
But I think at that point, then Kenny started processing and going through it. And then we got to the point, honestly, to where we were on the verge of divorce.
It was self-destructive.
It was self-destructive for him at that point.
I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah. I told Kenny I wanted divorce because so many things had come into play. And we had been to a church that my mother-in-law had been to. And I got saved. And I was telling the Lord, you know, I need you to take my husband. I need you to take my kids. I need you to take me because I can't fix it.
I didn't want to be married. I wanted out. I was driving Tanya away. I didn't want anything at all. So when I realized that we needed to work on a relationship, we started going through counseling. We were going through the counseling, and she said, she stopped. She said, "Do you know that you're forgiven?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Kenny, look at me." She said, "Do you know that you're forgiven?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Kenny, baby, look at me." And she said, "You know that you're forgiven?" I said, "Yes, yes, yes. Stop asking me. Stop. Yes, I know I'm forgiven." I got mad. You know, I know that I'm forgiven. But you don't know everything about me. You only know this. You don't know this. I started telling her that. And she said, "How dare you?" And she got mad and she said, "How dare you think that what Jesus did on the cross is not good enough for you? You think he needs to get up there again and do it all over? You think that the blood that he shed was not good enough? You think you're so bad that he needs to die on the cross again? How dare you?"
Yeah.
Because he did that for you. Maybe that was my healing.
Yeah.
It didn't happen in a Sam's parking lot. It didn't happen in a Sam's parking lot, but it happened, and God gave it to me finally. I was like, "Where's my healing?" You know, when Tanya was telling me about all that.
Yeah. I believe that people that watch this, people are going to understand that they can be forgiven, that Jesus died for everything, even the things that we don't like to talk about because it is painful and because it is very personal. But, you know, we're here to talk about it and let people know that